Mortgage Solutions Financial. Rob has a wealth of information on the American dream of home ownership, credit repair, and refinancing. Be prepared to call in with questions at 972 988 1040. That's 972 988 1040. Rob Stern, Fridays at 1 p.m.
I do have
on
a question
1040
for you at
a.m.
some point, Robert.
KGGR.
We can talk off air.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Real Estate with the one and only Rob Stern of Lenders Residential Mortgage. Brother Robert Ashley with you here on a Friday. And we thank you once again for having 1040 KGGR on. And of course, we want to say hello to our Facebook family as well as our YouTube channel. And once again, we're talking real estate here with the one and only Rob Stern of Lenders Residential Mortgage. Now, if you have a question or a comment for Rob, our phone lines are open at 972-988-1040. That's 972-988-1040. Well, first of all, Rob, I want to say a good Friday to you. How are you today, Rob?
Doing really well today, Robert. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. It's a wonderful Friday, the day after Veterans Day. So obviously, we want to give a big shout out to all of our veterans and express our sincere thanks and most incredibly heartfelt love for anybody who's taken on the responsibility of protecting our nation.
That is indeed correct. Well, Rob, we'd like to follow up with you there to salute our veterans, every veteran, all those who have served. And, I was thinking about, Rob, the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day. And, on Veterans Day, we salute all of those veterans. But on Memorial Day, we think about those who have paid the ultimate price. But they all made that decision, Rob, to pay that ultimate price. So once again, we salute our veterans. And, Rob, you have done a lot of work with veterans. You've been getting veterans into homes, haven't you, Rob?
Yeah, Robert, I'd say probably, probably half the loans that I close are veterans loans. We do a ton with veterans. It's a very active market. And with that being said, there's still not enough activity when it comes to veterans buying homes. We have so many veterans that live in the Fort Worth and Dallas area. The neat thing about a VA loan, certainly the VA loans as we will close them with Lenders Residential Mortgage Team. The neat thing is that there's no minimum credit score required for a VA loan. You may hear counter to that with other lenders perhaps, but that's not the way that the VA has designed the product. The way the VA has designed the program, and of course I'm a direct VA lender, so as such, I deal directly with the VA, no overlays. The way the product was designed is for every veteran to have an opportunity to become a homeowner. The only guidance that the Veterans Administration gives to us is that there can be no late payments in the past 12 months without a good explanation, and the debt to income ratio cannot exceed 65% of the veteran's combined income. That's it. Now, I also want to highlight the fact that 65% of combined income is 30% more than you typically hear from lenders and certainly from brokers out there who are closing these veterans mortgage loans. So we put a lot of people into houses just because they've heard no before. They've given up. Credit challenges, whatever the difficulty is, no veteran is without the capacity to become a homeowner. They just need to reach out and give us a call.
Well, Rob, I'll tell you that we salute you, Rob, for working with our veterans, and you have been committed to working with our veterans for quite some time. Let's give out your contact information there, Rob, regarding our veterans.
Thank you, Robert. My telephone number is 972-739-2350. That's 972-739-2350. I can also be reached on the internet. Just go to Lenders Texas. That is LendersTexas.com. You can also find me on Facebook as the Lenders Residential Mortgage Team.
All right. And once again, we're talking here with Rob Stern. If you have a question or a comment, our phone lines are open right here on 1040 KGGR. And of course, the number to call is 972-988-1040. Now, of course, if it's been bothering you that you've been living in an apartment, you're renting a home, and you said, well, look, I eventually want to own my home. I want to get my credit straight. to be able to own a home. Rob can help you do all of that. And the process, now, some of you may think that this is a long process, but you've got to get started. You got to get started. Maybe even set yourself a goal by saying, maybe next year around this time, I will be in a home, particularly those of you who are about to get married. Get a pen, piece of paper so that you can write Rob's contact information down. And we encourage you to please follow up. Now, if you have a question, once again, 972-988-1040. And also for those of you who want to compare how much you're paying in rent. What kind of house could you have? If you're paying $1,000 in rent, call right now and Rob can tell you how much house you can actually own. And Rob, speaking of the interest rates, can you talk to us about the interest rates and what potential homeowners might need to know about interest rates?
Sure, Robert. Yeah, right now rates are still incredibly low, and I expect them to be low at least into 2022. But with that being said, we are seeing and feeling some upward pressure on interest rates. We've already been given advance warning or notice by the Treasury Department and by the Federal Reserve Bank that their goal is to raise interest rates in 2022. Now, they haven't told us how much or how many times they're going to raise rates.
Yes.
But we have had advance notice that rates will be going up in 2022. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. Clearly, we can look at the economy and see what's going on. Things are heating up. And when I say things are heating up, everything is more expensive. Gasoline obviously has almost doubled in cost, but just in general, the groceries that we buy are over 10% more costly now than they were a year ago. All the other consumer goods. As a matter of fact, I think the only consumer good that is not more expensive right now are toys. That's kind of interesting with Christmas coming up. But the last consumer report that I saw said everything has gone up a minimum of 8%, and in some cases it's doubled, like with gasoline. So as an American, it's more to live, and I understand. Perhaps we've got people that are renting these apartments, renting townhomes, Robert, renting condominiums, whatever it is. I can guarantee you they're going to see a huge increase in that rent when their lease expires.
Yes.
There's no better time to get get into the process of buying a home. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have a home in the next month. While that's certainly possible, or within the next 2 months, what have you, but you do have to begin the process. So you need to give us a call, reach out. Let's go over exactly what is needed in order to qualify for a mortgage. Interest rates are very, very low right now. We're seeing rates still in the high twos to the mid threes, and of course they move from the mid threes higher depending on credit. But still, with that being said, rates are lower now than we've seen in a long, long time. We also know that the Treasury is going to stop buying mortgage-backed securities, and when they do that, that will also cause interest rates higher. And it's really sort of a cause and effect. The cause of the suspense in buying mortgage-backed securities is literally that we own so many of them as American citizens. Right now we are buying securities to the tune of $80 billion per month. Per month.
God.
That's a lot. That's a ton.
Billion.
And this has been going on for quite a while. So clearly, there's a point where we just don't want to own those securities anymore. I mean, we're over leveraged. And when I say we, I'm talking about the American people. The effect that's going to have is it's going to make rates go up on mortgages, because in order to sell a mortgage-backed security, you have to have a market, and you can't attract a market without paying good interest rates. So that's exactly what's going to happen. So we're going to see some upward movement. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I think all of these things pushed together with the fact that it's more expensive now to buy a home than it was a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or whenever you bought your house. When I bought my house, I've been to my house for almost 20 years. These costs are just out of control. And until we can rein in the pending inflation that we're seeing, we're not going to have any relief. Now, again, the reason why this is happening, I can't be real specific about it, and I think there's a lot of varying opinions. But the point is, rates are going higher, and so if you're in the market to purchase a home, or even better said, if you're renting a home, whether it's an apartment or a townhouse or what have you, right now, this is the right time to get in the game. This is the right time to investigate becoming a homeowner. If you own a home currently, this is the right time to look at refinancing, whether it's a matter of refinancing for lower interest rate, refinancing for a lower payment, perhaps a shorter amortization term. I see people moving from 30 years to 15 years oftentimes. But more importantly, what we see a lot of right now, Robert, are people that are taking equity out of their house to eliminate debt. They're paying off these high interest credit cards, and that's very important. Get rid of the consumer debt with the equity in your house, and we're seeing that happen very, 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 very often. So, yeah, good opportunity right now. They just need to give us a call.
All right. Well, Rob, what's that phone number again?
That number is 972-739-2350. That's 972-739-2350. And I can also be reached by internet. They can just go to Lenders Texas. That's spelled out LendersTexas.com, or find me on Facebook as the Lenders Residential Mortgage Team.
All right. Well, once again, talking here with Rob Stern of Lenders Residential Mortgage and Mortgage Solutions. Now, we talk with Rob every Friday at 1 o'clock, and we want you to be educated about the biggest purchase you're going to make in a lifetime, and that is indeed a home. And now is the time to buy, especially with the interest rates being as low. Now, Rob, this is another story. This is over in China. Now, you know, China went out and they built all those apartments and everything like that.
Right.
And I heard yesterday, I forget the name of this big real estate company that they got over there, but I heard that they missed a mortgage payment this week. Had you heard anything about that big company in China?
I think the company's called Evergrande.
That's it.
And we're talking about, it's actually an interest payment that they've missed.
Oh, wow.
And this is not the first one that they have missed.
Okay.
And we're not talking about a payment on a house that you would make or I would make.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about tens of millions of dollars.
Ooh.
Hugely leveraged company. So yeah, it goes without saying that that they are in a position to experience a significant economic slowdown, which actually could be a positive for the United States.
That's what I'm wondering.
Because when an economy goes upside down, as I predict China's will, when an economy kind of crashes like that, people who have any type of money look for outside investments and a place to put their money where it's safe, which would clearly be the United States. So I think that could be a little bit of a silver lining, perhaps to some extent. But still, remember, we have all this pressure right now on interest rates and on growth and on the economy. So there's just a lot to take in right now. And the one thing we know for certain is that if you're renting a home or renting a condominium, renting a townhouse, whatever, you're throwing away money. It really doesn't matter whether the economy is whether it's a recession, a depression, inflation. None of that really matters because it's all cyclical, and the knife cuts right across the board very evenly. The fact is, you need to have a place to sleep at night, and you're wasting your money if you don't own your own home.
My goodness. And Rob, I'm just wondering, with China not making that interest payment, could it have a ripple effect on the United States, and that they're holding the trillions of dollars of our debt? Could that impact our interest rates in any kind of way? I mean, because people need to go ahead while these interest rates are low now. I'm just wondering, could we wake up overnight and Janet Yellen, our Treasury Secretary, say, I got to go ahead and jack these interest rates up because China is costing us more money because they have collapsed?
Well, I think that Janet Yellen is going to raise the interest rates. I don't think there's a doubt about that. And I think it will come quickly, but I don't think it's going to be astronomical. It'll be gradual increases until the economy cools down, perhaps. But I think that what's going on in China, again, it's the same exact situation that we've been discussing, Robert. When there's an environment where things slow down, people start selling securities, people start needing to gather their cash, and if their cash is invested in the United States, and we do have a lot of foreign investment here in the United States. Mm-hmm. If we are having these people, sell their mortgage-backed securities, sell these other items, that could have a ripple effect clearly with interest rates and the overall activity. Now, whether that's a positive or a negative thing, I think that clearly, if rates are higher and they sell these mortgage-backed securities, they're making money. And of course, the money is required in order to live, no matter what part of the world you're in. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how this progresses.
All right, now, Robert, also another topic here in terms of equity for a lot of our 1040 KGGR listeners and our Facebook family and YouTube family. They already own a home and they have equity in their house. Should they begin to leverage that equity in some kind of way in light of the interest rates being low, refinance that? What do you sense in terms of equity?
Yeah, Robert, my opinion is that if an individual has the ability to use that equity to eliminate debt, then that's clearly a much better use of their money, of their equity. And just to explain briefly, when an individual pays their debt with income that they earn on a monthly basis, with income that they get from their paychecks, they're paying with after-tax money. They're paying their debt with money that they've already paid taxes on, for sure. When they pay this debt with an equity loan, they're using tax deductible money, pardon me, to eliminate that same exact debt. So there's a huge taxable benefit for an individual to use the equity out of their home to eliminate debt. Now, with that being said, a mortgage loan at, we'll say, 3.5%, mm-hmm. that is tax deductible versus paying a credit card at 18%, perhaps 15% interest, is a pretty easy decision there. Far and above, it makes more sense to use the equity in your home to eliminate debt. Clearly, the key is once you eliminate that debt, don't make more debt. And that's something that I think a lot of us are maybe even starting to struggle with because of this inflation that we're experiencing, regardless of where it's coming from. It's just more expensive to live right now. And so I think a lot of people are accumulating debt right now, whereas a few years ago, perhaps they didn't have that same amount of debt.
Yes. And Rob, in terms of our availability of homes, at one time, it seemed like our demand for homes was outpacing the supply. What's the latest information regarding supply and demand in terms of homes?
Yeah, Robert, we are still very much in a market where buyers are struggling to find homes, and I'm not sure if it's really the market or if in some part it might be the realtors, because what's going on is that when these sellers are listing homes right now, they are listing their homes at the absolute top of the market. In other words, a home that might be worth $200,000 and they're perhaps listing it for $220,000, mm-hmm. just because the market's very hot. So when an individual comes along and makes an offer on that home, then perhaps it doesn't even appraise. So you end up with another issue, which is that buyer is going to have to pay the difference between the appraised value and the asking price for that home. I think realtors are responsible in part for a lot of what's going on. And then, of course, builders, right now these home builders can't keep pace with everybody. I've got loans right now that are 60 days overdue to close. Builders aren't meeting their closing dates. They are. It's just a really bad situation situation right now, Robert. There are so many variables that impact what's going on. I think that we've always talked about pre-owned homes. I would prefer to see somebody buy an existing home, a pre-owned home, as opposed to going to a builder just because of the way builders are treating consumers. There's a little bit of a respite, but they're back at it again. And I don't know that we're going to see things get. I don't know that we're going to see things get any better for another year or two, Robert.
My goodness. Well, once again, we're talking here with Rob Stern of Lenders Residential Mortgage. And of course, we're live here on 1040 KGGR, our Facebook page, as well as our YouTube channel. We have a few more minutes to go. If you have a question or a comment for Rob, you want to compare your rent to what your mortgage payment would be, the number to call is 972-988-1040, 972-988-1040. That's our number to call. And Rob, the supply chain problem that we have been seeing and hearing about in the news here lately, what impact is all of that having on the cost of a home?
Well, I think that is what a lot of these builders are relying on, Robert, when it comes to the delays that they're experiencing. Like I said earlier, builders that are closing 60 days late on a home, and their answer is, well, we can't get windows. Or we can't get lumber, or we can't get roofing materials. Now, with that being said, I don't know that I buy that literally. But anyway, so I think the supply chain problems are part of the difficulties, which is what's pushing housing prices up. Most people don't want to wait 10 months or 12 months to build a home. Most people want relatively instant gratification. They find a home, they write a contract, they want to be able to move into that home. So I think, slowly but surely we're seeing the tides turn, but not fast enough. Supply chain problems are evident, and certainly that's what the builders are relying on when it comes to these long delays that they're experiencing right now. Clearly, with a pre-existing home, you don't have that problem. It's already built, so you don't have to worry about when the windows are actually going to come in. And something else to consider, Robert, and we've talked about this in the past. But let's talk about the quality of craftsmanship on an older home versus a newer home.
Okay.
When someone is literally working to throw a home together as quickly as they can, I would be a little concerned about the craftsmanship going into that home, perhaps. Mm-hmm. Whereas buying a pre-existing home, you already know what you're getting. You have an inspection done, and everything is somewhat relative to that inspection. So it's a crazy market right now, but you're a homeowner. I'm a homeowner. God's blessed me with so many opportunities. Our goal is just to bless our listeners and help them get into homes. If they're in a home, certainly it's the right time to refinance, and that's why we do this show and why we've done this show for so long, Robert.
Yes. Now, Rob, just a basic question about qualifying for a home. Is it more difficult now to qualify, or is it easier to qualify to buy a home?
I think it's actually getting easier and easier to qualify to buy a home. There are so many programs that we have access to as a direct mortgage lender. Clearly the situation with the veterans and the VA loans up to a 65% debt ratio, which allows a veteran to spend significantly more on a home, actually 30% more than a traditional broker may actually allow. It's much easier to qualify now than it has been previously. And I feel like a lot of that is because both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, as well as FHA and the VA, have identified the struggles with the increasing costs in the marketplace. The fact that income is not keeping up with these increasing costs we're experiencing. Again, you have to take that first step, and we speak about this so often, Robert. But you can never finish something you don't start. You have to start the process of a mortgage loan. whether you're purchasing a home, refinancing your home, you just have to start. There's still people out there, Robert, if you can believe it, paying 10% interest on mortgages.
Oh,
Yeah.
10%?
Yes, sir.
Why would people still pay back then?
Just because they're afraid of the answer that they may get, which has caused them some discomfort. You know, Robert, a lot of times when people hear the word no too often, they just cut and run. They go the other direction. And that's, again, why we do this. Educate and inform. That's our whole goal. We've been at it together. You and I now, probably 22 years we've been doing this. We put a lot of people into homes, and that's why.
Well, Rob, let's see now, in terms of down payment assistance, is there still help for people looking for down payment assistance? And what would you say to young married couples?
Yes. So to answer your first question, there is still a lot of opportunity for down payment assistance. We have some great down payment assistance product. We started a 600 credit score on down payment assistance. We have a very close relationship with the state of Texas with our down payment assistance program. So certainly anybody who wants to buy a home, maybe they're a little bit short on down payment or a little bit short on closing costs, do not let that stand in the way, and you give us a call. A young married couple or a young couple that's in the process of becoming married, you know, one of the first things you should look at is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make as a married couple or individual, and that is a home. This is the right time to start looking at home ownership and exploring the opportunity so that you can actually build a good foundation for that marriage. Again, I think so much of a marriage is based on security, and being a homeowner provides you with that basic foundation, that security to build on and base the rest of your life on.
All right. Well, Rob, I'll tell you what, if you want to give that contact information out, anything else, got about 30 seconds for you, Rob.
Sure, Robert, and I'll talk fast. My contact information, 972-739-2350. That's 972-739-2350. You can also find me on the internet at Lenders Texas. That is LendersTexas.com. And in closing, I just want to say thank you, Robert Ashley, for the opportunities that you've provided me, for your friendship. All the time we've spent together has just been outstanding, and I look forward to many more years together.
Amen. Well, I want to thank, of course, our 1040 KGJR listeners, of course, the Heaven 97 listeners, Rob, who have worked with us down through the years. And see, being a newsman, you can be very, very controversial, but we just want to make sure that people get information, Rob, and you have helped this community in so many ways to understand perhaps the largest purchase that a person is going to make in a lifetime, and that is indeed buying a home. So once again, we encourage you to follow up with Rob, get out of those rent houses, get your credit straight, and congratulations to all of the married couples out there. And Rob, once again, we want to thank you for saluting and working with our veterans. They protect the freedoms that we have in this democratic republic. All right. Well, once again, be sure to be here with us next Friday at 1 o'clock with the one and only Rob Stern. Let's talk real estate. Rob, we want you to have a good weekend, and we want to say goodbye to our 1040 listeners, of course, our Facebook page, our YouTube channel. I'm Robert Ashley. We'll see you, and you all
Thank you,
have
Robert.
a blessed day. All right. Take care.
God bless you, bud. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
All right.
KGG